Remember the Ikhwan, we told them all the time, don't take power, won't be no Arab Spring, niggas don't know nothing, right? And so many of them got killed. Why? Because they stuck to that line of Ikhwanism and wouldn't take nothing from the outside. So we got to keep our eye on our brothers holy, man. You have, and I tell them, I say, you have Ikhwanic character. What do you mean? You're evolving just like Ikhwan was evolving. But the world is traveling at 100 miles an hour and you evolving at 45 and 50 miles an hour. That's the way the diplomatic corps and others are. They're evolving. They're the best in diplomacy, I believe. Some of the best, yeah. But they'll be evolving behind the curve. That's the message to the MSA, PSG. So now we're going to get into, when you think about global leadership, you have to be patient with others, because as others voluntarily join you, it's because they feel like you will take care of them, right? If they think you slick and nickel and dime, you're going to use people for a while, then discard them to reach your goal, oh, they're not going to join you. Now, as things move forward, this joining, coalescing together is voluntarily. If you have moral imagination, ethics, and leadership, you won't have to fire a shot at anybody. The people will join you literally. Now, that's what I'm pushing. I know it needs a little help, because in some organizations people have given an order, and if we all together, a brother would say, I'm not taking that order because that's Imam Musa, man. He's been with us since Jump Street. I ain't going to play with him because that's our homeboy, right? Just like us. The Negroes, if you don't see none of the Negroes, Shias and nobody else coming by, you know what? They all was ordered to pack up and go somewhere else. Or in the heyday of Wahda and unity, every time we had a meeting, they was talking about, this is how we're going to slick the Iranians, we're going to get monies, as they would say. And I just listened to them. I said, I ain't doing that. But these Iranians, see, they thought at first that since we all niggas, we all the same, and we're going to hustle Iranians. I said, no, I ain't doing that. Pretty soon, I don't care where it was, L.A., Houston, Mumbo Jumbo land, they became hostile. They couldn't do nothing about it, but they become hostile. Man, I had one brother, Negro fella, from out our way. We was traveling around together in Iran. It was either just after the war, but that feeling of fire was just, you could light a match in a place and it would just, there was so much oxygen in there, it just catch on fire. And we was traveling around, fiery speeches, you know. And the brother with me was telling everybody, he was making me sound like a sissy because I was telling the truth. We have to struggle and stick with him, man. This Negro was telling everybody, there are thousands of people in America waiting for Imam Khomeini to give the word. And I'm telling the Iranian brother, hey man, I said, you got us. And they said, and they were saying, that's okay, they don't know what he's saying. I said, you got to tell him everywhere we go, he be, rah, rah, rah. I said, man, it ain't 5 people in the U.S. They even know who Imam Khomeini is, except on the picture. They got him a mean-looking picture.
Right.
It ain't no niggas in America ready to hear the call. So he was almost calling me weak-hearted and weak-boned. I said, you can't tell these people that, man. We actually got in an argument over that. And one of the big sheikhs, our friend, he told him, he said, brother so-and-so, that this is the Mecca period for Islam, not the Medina period. That's all he told him. In other words, quiet that down, because he would be in America too sometime. Okay, so put Islam at the forefront of global transformation. This is all possible. Now, the revolution has exceeded all expectation. Number one, death to America. 35 years ago, it might have sounded like far-fetched, but how does it sound today? If America was on notch number 10, in those days, it looked like it's struggling to stay on notch number 4 right now. America is technically insignificant. And we got a clown that's running things that he ain't finished yet. We give him another month, he might knock the whole thing. Stabilization of Iran. Iran is stabilized. Export of the revolution is exported. Hezbollah all over. Iran stepped in and rescued Syria. Good God Almighty, man. This thing is rolling, and it's rolling all in one direction. Iran helped in Iraq. Those are big countries. Iran, Iraq, and Syria, those are the main boys in that region. The little Gulf states, little bitty teenager places. Syria, Iraq, and Iran is the main boys in the region. And then Lebanon, which is small, our homeboys is knocked that. The Gulf is going. That's just the way it looks. I mean, this is just an analysis. So we have to develop morals and ethics now. Tazkiyah bil nafs now. So that saying Iran has to improve its attitude and its behavior. Because in Iran, Afghanis are like Mexicans here, they do all the hard work. And Iranians might have a little elevated, they think Afghanis is Persians, but they country folks, So they have to be cautious about their attitude. They're not trying to do it. But now you want to help develop a new world. You don't develop a new world by yourself. You develop a new world in cooperation with others, right? So you have to be cautious about how you treat Afghanis. I remember, it was 30 years ago or more. Yeah, I was at a big conference in Iran and the Shia ulama. You couldn't tell them an Iranian except when they talk about Iranians. Where's the help that you talk about? That's a good God Almighty. So we have to be careful. Iran did a good job on refugees. Pakistan had them in refugees camps. And Iran had them educated, Okay, so moral imagination. This is what we have to prepare for. Now remember, we're following the guidelines of speaking a word direct, straight, non-ambiguous, no nickel and dimeism, no subtleism, no trying to. The only reason we're saying this is because The Islamic Republic is the best representation of Islam in the world today, and it has been since I can remember. Therefore, we have to do our part to help things keep moving correct. So that's one thing we're going to do here. We're going to start among many other things. I just mentioned a few of them. Remember re-Africanization of Islamic movement in North America, de-Israelization of Islamic movement in North America, Islamic dialectical idealism, College of Islamic Movement Studies. We've talked about it a lot before. Department of Strategic and Islamic Studies. Okay. Those are things that we have to do. Now, I'll move toward, how are we going to do this? What's the environment here in America? Let's see. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Our favorite. وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. Who is better in speech than one who calls men to Allah, work righteous deeds, and say, I am of those who bow in Islam. So the mission is clear. We've stated it over and over again. This is the mission of Islam. Now, we have a mission beyond the Negro mission. At first, re-Africanization of Islam, it made sense all at the time. But here's where we are now. We are three distinct communities in America. African Americans, or indigenous, immigrants, and Shias. Let's just call it that. So the same racial makeup as in the Shias as the Sunnis, except for Persians or Iranians, and Shias, but the Pakistanis and others. The question comes, what are we going to do in America? Now, we've been here all the time, and we've been thinking on this. What seems proper then? What seems proper is this: that the mission in America goes beyond re-Africanization of Islamic movement in North America, goes beyond de-Israelization of Islamic movement in North America. And as usual, if there's a job that nobody wants and it can't be done hardly, then somebody has to be bold or disjointed enough to say, we're going to give it a try. What's that try? To unify the Negro community, which sold its birthright. Sold its birthright, remember that? That's what it says. I hate to keep pulling it up, but this is what they said. And it was Sherman Jackson last 2 months ago said it over at Howard. Conference focuses on how social invisibility of African American Muslims lead to psychological trauma and suffering. They passed up their birthright and gave it to the immigrant community that didn't know what to do with it. Right? When I say the immigrant community, I mean the Shias and the Sunnis have the same happiness with being here. And each one of them is, since it's building up its stuff, you know what I mean, is getting its little shakes. It used to have, the main speakers was all Negroes, and the Sunnis and the Shias. I know I helped start a lot of the groups, centers all over the country. But all of them, Sunnis and Shias, have sent some of their children to Qom and to Egypt and everywhere to study, right? And if you notice, what does the little Sheikh crew look like now? Their local little new bred, hybrid American semi-scholars. And no more needed is the Negro. With the Iranians, they've sent a few of their children there and the guys come back pretty good. They go to Qum. One thing you can't learn in Qum is what the heck to do in America. You can't learn that nowhere but here, and you have to have a certain background to learn it. Nobody's talked about this but us. Guess what we have to do? Coalesce all three of those, the Shia community, the Sunni community, and the Negro community in a great symphony, harmony, a focus and direction. Sounds great. We're going to give it a try. That's our job. Because what does it say? Who is better in speech than one who calls men to Allah, works righteous deeds, and say, I am a Muslim. So we have to energize the immigrant community with a new vision and show them the timeliness of Allah. If they would not have had these years to develop with no pressure on them from the government at all, if the government treated the immigrant community like they treat us, they wouldn't have but 4 or 5 Masjid around the country. If they kicked doors in and held them at gunpoint, right, and messed up all their programs and dragged them out every other week, they would retreat it back into a hole. So what we did for the last 20 years is draw all the heat. Not they don't know it, but imagine our programs, how to pump the FBI. Oh, y'all ain't nothing. What are we doing? We're drawing the heat. You know, you can see it when you hear it, right? We're drawing the heat away from them. Because we can stand it. It's good for us. We like it. Drawing the heat away from them. They built up their centers and they're happy that we drew the heat because they didn't want to talk to us no way, right? Because they don't know about strategy. Strategy is selfless. They wouldn't draw no heat for us, but we're not them. We don't have their vision. They fulfilled or completed their vision. We're Americans. But now, here's what we got for them. We got the Quran. What does it say? Nor can goodness and evil be equal. Repel evil with that which is better. Then will be between whom and thee was hatred become, as it were thy friend and enemy. I'm going to skip over all the Arabic terms which we usually go to. Tastawi, equal. Repel evil. This is bad America. So what we got to do, all three of us, have to evolve and grow and develop. Participate in Tazkiyah bil Nafs. Become a worthy people with America. The Negro don't need nobody to tell him how mean America been to him, but the Quran says, repel their evil with good. That means we got to get the evil. That's what we're trying to do. Repel their evil with good. Then between you and he who was hatred and enmity, Hamimun, become a warm and fuzzy friend. So now, what's the message to the immigrant community? Same ones we give it out when we go to, what's the name? ICNA, that's the same message, but refined. You've heard of America the big, America the great, but you've never heard of America the good. That's the mission. You want to be a good American? Now America needs your help. You got Islam. This is the message. This is true. Don't America need? Hey man, you think Negroes was dying of heroin overdoses? They say that the white man's newspaper said it was, I don't believe it, but he said it was 310 or 350 per day dying in America. Then they had the 22 soldiers that commit suicide. That means, we did the numbers the other day, that means more soldiers commit suicide than died in Iraq, which they got. Yeah. That means in a year, 8,000, we did the numbers, remember? It was 8,000. It was either you and I or Brother Too-Fair. It's Brother Too-Fair. Well, we just multiplied 22 times 365. It came out 8,056 or something. 4,000 troops died in Iraq. That's what they said, remember? 8,000, twice as many, is dying in a year from suicides. You don't think they need help? They need help. The American people, now, America the good. In order to do good, we got to become good. Us, we have to convince the immigrant community and the Negro community that you just got sidelined for a little while. Maybe that's what Allah wanted us all to do, to go through this different changes. We have to call it, we have to sell this Quranic platform. This is what it says. And this is the timeliness of these ayats. These ayats are timely. These are not just haphazard. We are at a stage where it's coherent and it's needed. This is what's needed for America. So now we have to encourage the Negro, encourage the Sunnis, encourage the Shias to grow into your role to make America a better place. Yeah, simple as that. That's how do they know that wasn't what we were sent here for? If this is the time of the Islamic revival, America is not immune from being revived humanly and Islamically. I don't see nothing else going to hook it up. Right? Okay. And no one will be granted such goodness except those who exercise patience and self-restraint, none but persons of the greatest good fortune. So that means that just like Iranians always said, Marg Bag America, death to America, that meant death to the political system. The political system has technically died. Or it's on its deathbed. It's on recitation. They're pumping it now, but keeping it alive, right? That's the American political system. I believe this is our mission. This is the lecture that I'm going to